Hello, this is Community Unity Now, the D Tycoon Show. This is Bill Morton, President of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce, and I am Trudy, Leong, Administrator of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. Our very special guest today is Mr. Coleman Goode. He is the relational organizer at the Workers Center for Racial Justice. How are you today, Coleman?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Welcome.
Very well.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, first of all, tell us about your role. What is a relational organizer?
Wow, yes. Well, I actually just started this role on July 1st. So as a relational organizer, I do a lot of organizing around electoral politics and electoral voting, both in Illinois and in Wisconsin. So I basically get people and mobilize them from all over the state to get them to vote and to stay up to date on hot topic issues.
So get out the vote. You're talking about not only getting out to vote, but to encourage your neighbors to vote, in your family, in your community to vote,
Yes.
and to participate a little bit more.
Yes, and have a plan. You know, do you know when you're going to vote? Do you know how you're going to vote? And if you do, just kind of write that down and help people do that.
So do you call people or knock on doors as reminders, like it's time to vote?
Yes, we do text messages, we do phone calls, and we utilize our RO program to reach out to people that we may not be able to touch.
Mm-hmm. I know there's an organization called Pizza to the Polls that people really enjoy. And that, I don't know if that's motivating or not, but it definitely makes voting a lot more fun.
It does. You have to find different ways to get people out the door, especially on the day of, but we try to get people to vote early and make sure they have their ballot if they're going to vote by mail. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do people ever tell you why they don't want to vote, or they promise you that they'll vote, but actually they end up not voting?
Yes, people give me many excuses why they don't vote, or many reasons why they vote. Some of it are valid, and I listen to all of those. But we try to stay in the reality and give people the information they need to make the best decisions they can for themselves.
Information like what?
Where their their polling place is. Do they know what district they vote in? Do they know who their state rep is? And just giving them that information. Yeah.
So if there's someone who's disabled and they have a disability of some sort, and they want to vote, do you assist them with mail-in voting? Do you assist them with a ride to the polling place or things like that? Or is it just advocacy? So
I know we don't assist people getting to the polls. We probably connect them with someone that could assist them. That's what I would do. So those are the things we do. But we do try to go to knock on people's doors and get them out. If we see you walking down the street and it's election day, we're going to yell at you and tell you to go vote.
Mm-hmm. And what are the people's reactions to that when you yell at them?
Some of them are receptive. You know, some of them ask me why should I vote? It doesn't matter. It doesn't change. They're all crooks and I just tell them, listen, if you don't participate in the process, you kind of are giving your enemy an upper hand.
So you just mentioned two different misconceptions about voting. Mm-hmm. Are there any others?
I think one misconception is that the lesser of two evils. They're both bad. I think there isn't really. Yes, there's no perfect candidate and there's no perfect party. So I tell people that. I think another myth is my vote doesn't count. No one cares. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah. And what answer do you have for that?
I told them, your vote does count. Every vote counts. And when they get in the office, you have to even push further. Use your representative. Reach out to them. We pay them. We elect them and hold people accountable. That's how we create change.
Your vote is your voice.
Yes. And when you use it, you got to keep using it and keep holding people accountable.
Well, what about any success stories? Do you have any people that come to you and say that, oh, I'm glad you got me to vote because it is important? Do you get any of that at all?
Yes. We had a great success this year with our child tax credit. We got $150 million added to the budget here in Illinois, which is a big thing. We have parents that will stop in with their kids and they will say thank you and they'll join. They'll become members sometimes and they become what we call power parents, which is a part of our child care committee. And they are parents that go down to Springfield with us. They take their kids with them and they meet with their legislators and they just participate in the process.
So the child tax credit, is that state level?
It is state level, yes.
Okay. And then how do you qualify for this tax credit?
Sure. So your child has to be under the age, has to be 13 and under at the end of this year by December 31st. and they would get that $300 to $600 extra on their child taxes, on their tax credits, on their tax returns next year. Sorry.
Do you have to apply for that, or is that automatic?
It will be automatic. When you file your taxes, it'll be automatic.
And this the 300 to 600, no matter how many children they have, right?
It's per child.
Per child. Okay.
I'm going to ask you a little bit early this time. Can you give people more information, where to find more information about the child tax credit?
Sure. I mean, they can go to our website at centerforracialjustice.org, and we have all that information available to them.
Okay.
Okay. And so, what your power parents, they're in the know about who the legislators are that help pass the bill, right?
Yes.
And do they go out in the community to talk with the community members about these legislators that help get the credit in place?
We hope they do. We have a great child care fellow, an organizer by the name of Crystal Peters. She does a lot of work with our child care team, and they have Family Fridays, which is like a monthly event where families come into our office and they sit around and they talk about the issues that are affecting them, and they develop plans on how they're gonna what legislators are going to talk to, and how they're going to achieve the goals that they've set for themselves.
What are the hot issues now among those parents?
I think obviously childcare, access to childcare, affordable childcare is a big one that we see a lot of. Because people just say, I can't go to Springfield because I have to find someone to take care of my kid. So that's the really big one, is trying to get more affordable childcare out there.
Does the Worker Center for Racial Justice, does it address any housing issues?
So no, we do not address housing issues, but we will send people and refer them to other organizations that do housing. It does come up a lot, so we are thinking about maybe we should try to do some housing stuff.
Yeah, we get that question a lot too, so often. That's why we're hoping that we would get an extra organization on the team to help with that.
We're with the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce, and we get every question under the sun from everybody in our community of Rogers Park and beyond. So housing is one of the big ones.
Yeah, when I text people, the first thing they ask me is about a job. Can I help them get a job, or can I help them find housing? Because it's such a huge issue that we have here in our state.
There was a young lady that contacted us. So she said that she tried to change her position at work, and then the employer told her that she would be starting like a certain day, but then they had to push her back to 2 weeks from that date. So now she's like she can't get enough money to pay her telephone bill nor her internet bill, and she already got like the payment plans from her utilities, but they were not able to extend it, she said. And then she said she already called like 30 other organizations. Nobody is able to help her. And then I asked her, please send us the telephone numbers that you call, so that at least if we're trying to help you, then will not have to call those organizations again. Do you have any advice? Because that qualifies under racial justice.
It does. And there's some great organizations doing that work that we will refer people to. But it's hard. I think it's when you hear people and they're struggling and you want to help them. It's really hard because people out there are all struggling. And I think people we don't realize how many people are just living one paycheck to paycheck.
Yes, and she was so upset. She said that she's been a hard worker all her life, and now she's like nobody's around to help her.
And she also asked, she said, I have this job interview and I can't even get onto the train or the bus to get to the interview. So she requested that we give her a bunch of Ventra passes. I offered to put her in and give her a day card. But she's calling all the time. And we referred her to Northside Community Resources in our neighborhood because they deal with a lot of issues like that a little bit more than we do.
Yeah, it's hard. And what other issues that people talk about with you, like when you're doing the relational organizing, what other topics do you revolve around?
Obviously there's the violence in our community. We talk a lot about just how people sometimes are scared to leave their apartment or leave their home and walk down the street, and so we try to address those issues by really kind of addressing the root causes of those issues. We try to make sure that people have access to childcare, people have access to a job,
Education.
We have three different. We have a couple of committees we have at our organization. One being the reinvestment committee, and what that is it's about trying to find funds that might exist in the CPD and to find better ways of maybe using that money by investing in violence prevention, by investing in job training, by investing in after-school programs. Helping the community as a whole and being more holistic with our work.
Okay, so you said taking money from the CPD for these things. Why in particular the CPD, the Chicago Police Department?
Well, I think it's because we think of some people when they think of safety, they think of the police, and so if we're going to think about this, the CPD as a public safety device, then we need to start looking at other ways of maybe providing safety to people when it comes to public safety. I always tell people, we call the police when a crime has already happened. How about we prevent the crime? So we don't have to call the police. So the CPD has a very, very, very large budget. It's one of the largest police budgets in the country. And we just think that money can be spent in a different way. We're not saying defund the police. We're just saying let's find better ways of spending the money that we as taxpayers are giving the police.
Are there any other jurisdictions that have done that and have been successful that you could show the evidence to the CPD and
Case studies.
Yes.
Case studies. I'm not gonna. I can get that information to you later, but I don't have it off the top of my head. But we do know that more police on the streets do not make people feel safe, or does not bring crime down. So we do see that. There's evidence of that.
Okay, and then for the do you know about how much money you would need for addressing mental health and youth engagement in that versus how much you could maybe
And the root causes.
and how much you could move from the CPD budget? Do you have to FOIA for the CPD budget, the Chicago Police Department budget?
Yes, and I think our formerly incarcerated. Our reinvestment committee is actually they're actually focusing on that. They're actually doing some research and they're actually trying to figure out how much of the budget do they need to would it require to how much they should reinvest in social service programs, because we know that a lot of the police calls are all usually predominantly social service issues. People are having a mental health issue. It's not really a crime happening, it's someone having a mental health issue.
Yeah, because I looked on your website and it did mention that only 14% of all 911 calls actually concern a violent crime.
Yes.
So the rest it is possible to address that the other 86% through community efforts.
Yes.
Reinvestment efforts.
So this data, we're working off of statistical data. What is the source?
The source comes from the FBI. The source comes from records that are done by different organizations. They've already done that research. I can give you the specifics because I don't work in that part of. It's not my field, so I don't want to give you the wrong information. But we do outsource and get that information. We have someone that does all that research and gathers that information, from the budget that we get from the city. So it's all statistics that come from.
And you also mentioned that you're currently doing research on this. So how far along are you?
I've been in the organization for about a year and a half, and we've been doing it since I got there. I know they. I think last year, they started a kind of a campaign to get people to get information out to the community about how much we are spending on policing versus other cities, and so it's definitely been going on for a couple of years. We've also been running our Safest Community Act. The Safest Community Act was a legislation that we have been running at our organization for 5 years. What it does is it incentivizes small businesses to hire formerly incarcerated people by giving them a $5,000 tax break.
What is this called again?
It's called the Safer Community Act. It passed out of the House in 2023. It's been in the Senate for the last few sessions, and we've been trying to mainly get funding for it. Because what it does is it gives the formerly incarcerated person a voucher when they leave prison, so that they can take to an employer, so they can actually get a job, and that voucher would pay for half of their salary. So the state's paying for half of their salary. So we're just trying to get some money to help start this program, just help some former incarcerated people get out of prison. We're able to
Get
help,
jobs and change the cycle.
Yes, because we understand there's a very short amount of time when people leave, and that recidivism rate, we know that it's really high. And we're just trying to find ways of making our communities feel safer, and that's mainly giving people jobs.
Are you able to find employers that could grab the people right away so that they're not fending for themselves right out of prison? If there's an employer that's willing to take them on right away, that would be much easier. Are you able to help with that?
Yeah, so we do have institutional members that we work with in our organization from all over the state of Illinois. And so we work with, when we hear about those employers, we try to connect those people to that. We actually have a job training, a little chat that we it's going constantly with our members, and we're constantly putting in if there's job training coming, if someone's hiring. That's something that we work on, that we do daily.
So you're doing outreach with small and local and maybe even larger businesses. How is that outreach going, and what kind of businesses are you reaching out to?
So, I feel like most businesses we find are very open and receptive to it. They want to hire people. They want to hire people that want to work. We reached out to, I was reaching out to a lot of restaurants because we were doing work around one fair wage across the state of Illinois. So we're reaching out to them to figure out, do they support it? What are their ideas? How do they feel about this? We passed one fair wage in the city of Chicago last year. It went into effect on July 1st. So tip workers in Chicago saw their wages increase on July 1st.
To the minimum wage?
Yes, minimum wage, yes. Well, actually, it's going up. It slowly goes up from, in 5 years, it'll incrementally increase to $15.
So I remember back in the day, the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce, as president of the chamber, I went over to the Fight for 15 rallies at a Just Harvest with Reverend Marilyn Pagan Banks and Kim Bobo and everybody. And I was a part of that. And now 15 isn't so much. So as things change, how are you projecting your mission will change, or your workload?
The work never ends. I feel like we're constantly trying to reach that level of equity. Obviously, $15 isn't enough for people. It really needs to be 24, 25 to be considered minimum wage, or I think in this day and age now. That sounds about right. So it just means we're just constantly finding different ways new ways of helping improve people's lives, and that means asking community what they need, asking them what they want, and so that's how our mission changes. We keep fighting. We keep the fight going. We're also working on the state level. We're not just satisfied with Chicago getting a raise. We want everyone in Chicago. everyone in the state of Illinois to get a raise. So we came to the state legislators and asked them to pass a one fair wage statewide increase.
So you had a success in Chicago, the city of Chicago, with the city council chambers and all of that. You got it. Now you're working on Illinois, and how's that going?
It's difficult because Illinois is not Chicago. A lot of people, I think they look at Illinois and they think, oh, we're blue. We're not. It's a lot of rural areas of Illinois, and so we are having to do a lot of engagement and talk to people and making sure that we are engaging those restaurant owners that live in those small rural towns, and so that's what we're doing. It's a tough battle. It didn't happen this session, but we're not giving up.
Okay.
So what happened is that legislators are listening to their constituents, and their constituents don't want it, so they're not able to vote for it then. Yes,
and there's also a lot of misinformation. We were really fighting against a lot of misinformation such as that people were going to lose their jobs, or that they were going to have their chips taken away, and that was never going to be. That's not a part of the bill. The bill does not take away anyone's chips. What it does is it says you're going to get a minimum wage on top of your chips on top of that, so you don't have to worry about if you didn't make any tips. You're going to get that minimum wage. You're going to get a guaranteed minimum wage, and so. That was a big one that we kept finding, that people were afraid their tips were going to go away. And we're like, we're never going to take someone's tips away. But another one was that restaurants will start closing. And we've seen in other cities where this is passed that didn't happen. We've actually seen that when their tip workers are making more money, people spend more money in the restaurant. And tip workers spend money on themselves. And so it just, we saw in other states this help the actual economy.
I've just kind of somewhat related. We've experienced wage theft, and that's unjust. And we've also experienced employers taking the tips. So what are your ideas on that?
And we see that. That was one of the reasons why we had to do this. Wage theft was a big one. And because what an employer is supposed to do is, if you don't make your minimum wage, they're supposed to pay you the extra to bring you up to the minimum wage. But if some employers weren't doing that, they were finding different ways of getting around that, splitting up tips between other people. It was just, so that's why we were just like, we're going to cut that out. And there is a way to report that. If you feel like your wages are you're being mistreated, you can report that to the Illinois Labor Department or the Attorney General's Department as well.
That's good to know. What other issues are you addressing, right now, and what other bills are you working on?
Yeah, so right now we're still in the process of, we do expungements for people who are formerly incarcerated. We have a program that we work, that we take people in, and we will help to get their records expunged for free. We work
Is there any difference between your program, your expungement program, and other ones?
I can't speak to other people's programs because I'm not familiar, but I know what we do is we take people in, we help them get their documents, and we connect them with lawyers, and it's all for free. They work with them and help them get through the process.
So there is a process with expungements. You got to get your rap sheet, right? And then you got to pay the court fee?
Yeah, we do it all. It's all for free. So it's all taken care of.
So your organization covers it?
Our organization, and we also work with another organization called Arise Chicago, and they are the lawyers that we work with.
And how difficult? How long does it take? What is the success rate for expungements?
We pretty much have a pretty high success rate. The length depends on the person getting their documents together. It just depends on the workload, but it does. We do have successes. People come in and they say, "Thank you for getting my records expunged. I was able to get a job." We just have to make sure that people are aware of it.
How hard is it for people to get their records? Like for us, the most basic thing, it's easy for us to do, but maybe they don't have the computer skills. Maybe they don't have the computer.
And some people don't even know where to go to get their, how to get expunged. And so what we try to do is make sure that if you can't get to down to the CPD, we will try to give you a ride. We'll try to make sure that we try to make sure that it's an easy process for people, because you're right, some people don't have the time or the energy or the wherewithal to know all the red tape that they have to go through.
Do you have to go into the district where you were originally arrested?
Yes. Yeah.
And police, are they good with giving up those records? Are there any conflicts? And if there are, what kind of conflicts would there be if people are not able to get their records?
Yeah, I've never seen any the police being like, any animosity from police when it comes to the records. I think most people, they're just, I think we have to understand that originally a population has been traumatized, and sometimes asking them to go back to that trauma could be hard for them. And so that's another part of the expungement program. We try to make sure that you're not re-traumatizing yourself while you're trying to help yourself.
And the expungement program is Chicago-wide, or is it statewide?
Statewide, state of Illinois. So they have to live in Illinois, and you have to have been arrested and charged and prosecuted in Illinois. Sorry.
So if you were in Cicero, Illinois, you would have to go to Cicero, Illinois.
Yes.
To get your rap sheet.
Yes.
And what about what the most basic needs, like for the formerly incarcerated, they come out, they need like basic money for transportation, this and that. Are you able to help them at all?
So we don't, but we definitely refer them to other organizations that do that great work. And so, but we do. But what we do is we make sure that when they get out, they have a place to come where they want to be politically activated, politically motivated, and they want to get involved and maybe make changes. That's what we do at the Workers Center.
And you do outreach to the inmate population so that when they come out, then they'll be able to find you.
Yes. So they have information on us, and so when they come out, they know where to go, and they know that we are here to assist them. And if we can't assist them, we will definitely point them to someone that can.
Well, Coleman Goode of the Workers Center for Racial Justice, tell us, our viewers, about your contact information if they have any further questions.
Sure. You can find me at the Workers Center at Coleman at centerforracialjustice.org is my email, or you can actually call me at my number 224-368-0688, and that's the best way to get in contact with me.
Could you say that one more time?
Yes. Again, my name is Coleman Goode. My email is coleman@centerforracialjustice.org.
And spell Coleman.
Oh, sorry. Coleman at racialjustice.org. And my phone number is 224-368-0688. And that is the best way to get in contact with me because sometimes email doesn't work.
And racialjustice.org is the website?
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
Well, thank you so much, Coleman Goode, for joining us on Community Unity Now, the D. Tycoon Show today. This is Bill Morton, President of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. I am Trudy Leong, Administrator. Thank you so much for joining us on Community Unity Now. We'll see you again next week.